The idea is about being fearless. We have to be fearless. And, I said this the day after the election, that we can't assume that we have had, I used a military metaphor in a battle of the D-Day invasion, and I said that we are only at D-Day+1. We cannot declare victory over Europe just yet. No, we're not even at D-Day+2 yet here, folks. Okay, even though it's been 2 weeks since the election, we are still in the throes of a battle against this sort of spiritual wickedness and evil that we definitely face. But we have to be fearless, and we have to know that you kind of said it, Danielle. They're not going to just throw us the keys here. These people that are in power are not going to just go, here you go, it's your country to run now, kind of thing, right? They're not going to do that. Right.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us once again on the State of Freedom.
We are so blessed to have General Michael Flynn with us today. He doesn't need an introduction, but to say that he is a warrior and a patriot is an understatement. He's a hero, and he's the people's general. So many of us have looked to General Flynn as a steady hand and for instruction and reassurance during these last 4 years. General, we have so appreciated your leadership and your unwavering presence. Before we get into the conversation, let me read the scripture of the day. It's Psalm chapter 97, verses 10 through 12. And it says, "Listen, you lovers of God, hate evil, for God can keep you from wrong and protect you from the power of wickedness. For he sows seeds of light within his lovers, and seeds of joy burst forth for the lovers of God. So be glad and continue to give him thanks, for God's holiness is seen in everything he does." And as excited as we are for the future with President Trump and his outstanding cabinet picks so far, we know that the enemy is not rolling over and accepting defeat. We're not so naive to believe that. And one common caution I've heard from several trustworthy faith leaders since the election is the caution to believers to not be deceived by some of the things that may be said or some of the stunts that may be pulled in the coming weeks, months, and even years ahead. I agree with them, but I also don't think we need to live in fear of being deceived. This scripture is an instruction and encouragement on this point. It tells us to hate evil, and God will keep us from wrong and protect us from the power of wickedness. It's that simple. It says that God sows seeds of light within his devoted lovers. So we will see that light coming from the people who are in truth. Hate evil and love the Lord with all your heart, mind, soul, and strength, and he'll give you the discernment and the protection you need.
And indeed, Danielle, Satan is a master deceiver, going about the world seeking the destruction of souls. And that's all he does is lie, the master of lies. So we do have to be very discerning about what we believe and what we accept, and of course, what we challenge, which is just so critically important to choose our battles prudently and carefully on the path to victory here. Well, as you said, General Michael Flynn, who's been on our show before, and as you also said, needs no introduction. General Flynn, it's such a great pleasure to have you with us today on the State of Freedom for a few minutes, sir.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys, and I really appreciate everything that you do and what you provide to your audience. Yeah, I think that it's, the scripture itself, the idea is about being fearless. We have to be fearless, and I said this the day after the election, that we can't assume that we have had, I used a military metaphor in a battle of the D-Day invasion, and I said that we are only at D-Day+1. We cannot declare victory over Europe just yet.
Yeah.
We're not even at D-Day+2 yet here, folks. Okay, even though it's been 2 weeks since the election, we are still in the throes of a battle against this sort of spiritual wickedness and evil that we definitely face. And there's as everybody is watching, we're witnessing things that are just so, like, you just say to yourself, what are they doing? Why are they doing this? And I'm talking about on the, in the administration that still runs this country, all these recent events over in Eastern Europe that have just unfolded in the last 48 hours could lead us to something that is irreversible, a war that is so dangerous for the world. But we have to be fearless, and we have to know that, and you kind of said it, Danielle, they're not going to just throw us the keys here. These people that are in power are not going to just go, here you go, it's your country to run now, kind of thing, right? They're not going to do that. They're not going to give us the keys, or the keys that they give us to the different cabinet selections that President Trump is making. They're going to give you keys that don't work, that lead behind false doors and trap doors. So we cannot assume that they are going to just turn over, and after this brutal engagement that we've had on the beaches of Normandy, so to speak, before we were able to achieve a beachhead and start breaking out of the hedgerows, we had a brutal 4 years. And that brutal 4 years is like, it's like hitting the beaches and being shelled by the Germans on top of the hills, and just losing, at Omaha Beach, we lost 5,000 in one day. The destructive effect of the evil and the spiritual nature of the evil that we are facing is very real, and they are not about to give up power readily and easily. They're going to continue to fight tooth and nail every step of the way. I mean, last Wednesday, President Trump met with President Biden, and of course, Biden publicly said, just like Obama said in 2016, we're going to have the smoothest transition of power that we've ever had. And we are on the brink. We're on the brink of World War III just in the last 48 hours, and the potential use of nuclear weapons. It's as close as we've ever been to that. So there's no peaceful transition of power, not when you have people that are running our government that are unelected. And Joe Biden, sadly, he's incompetent, he's incapable, and Kamala Harris should be invoking the 25th Amendment. Congress should move to impeach Biden because he's just incapable of being able to function in the job that he has, even though we only have 2 more months. Like, we can say, well, January 20th is only right around the corner. That's still 2 months away, right? Today's the 19th of November. We got 2 more months. 2 more months. A lot can happen in 2 months. So I think as we go
General,
forward,
where do you see, General, at this point? 2 months, as you said, and 2 months can go by awfully slowly as far as I'm concerned. January 20th cannot get here soon enough. But now that we've established a beachhead, we're moving forward on the path of ultimate victory here. Any news that you want to break with us on the state of freedom today, as far as where you may be in the administration or close to the administration? Where do you see yourself in all of this?
Yeah, I'm doing what I want to do, which is continue to use my voice and the platforms that I've basically built over these last few years. I mean, I'll kind of keep my powder dry here a little bit, Chris, and just let folks know that, that I'm not going to give up on doing the things that I absolutely and firmly believe in when it comes to this country. My ultimate goal is to make sure that I leave this place a better place than I got it, and that we continue to have a nation that we're proud of, whether it's President Trump or whoever is in the future, to help these people that want to succeed. So I know I've spoken to Trump, and I've spoken to some of the others, and I'll just leave it at that.
Fair enough. Well, we'd be overjoyed if you were in the administration. I'll just leave it at that on my end.
Yeah. And General, maybe on that note, I saw some pretty strong words recently you had for Andy McCabe on X about his need to fear you being named FBI director, perhaps even more than Kash Patel. being
Yeah.
named. And first of all, I love that. I love how salty you've been on X. It's my favorite. Your son's also a great follow. Super salty, holding nothing back.
Michael doesn't hold anything back.
No,
No, he doesn't.
I wonder where he gets that from.
I tried to be a little bit less salty, I guess. Yeah. No, Andrew McCabe, deputy director of the FBI, and then acting director of the FBI, committed crimes against not only his own organization, where he was caught lying 3 times, blatantly caught lying, where in my case, it's a completely different issue, because of what they were doing to my son, speaking of things. But he was blatantly caught. And he also was part of the undermining of President Trump during his administration. And he continues. First of all, time has not made that man, any healthier. That's for sure. And you can see the stress, in his face. So I just find somebody like Andrew McCabe. He is one of these people that should just shut up and go away, because he is going to be in big trouble come a legitimate investigation and a rule of law that is not weaponized, but looks at the evidence and looks for the truth, and doesn't take 4 years or 3 years like John Durham did. Like, literally, let's get it done. Let's declassify everything. Let's look at it, and let's get it accomplished in about the first 60 to 90 days. And if these people need to go to jail, we're going to put them in jail.
I'm excited to share a fantastic opportunity for State of Freedom listeners who are interested in investing in precious metals or even starting a home-based business in the precious metals industry. Metal Stacks is a precious metals collectors club where you can buy your metals at the best prices on the market, actual dealer cost. They are beating the big sites. They have no credit card fees and no minimums. If you're just interested in purchasing metals at a great price, visit metalstacks.com/DWalker. Get to shopping. That helps me out. I get the commission. You can also refer people to Metal Stacks for an additional income. If you're interested in learning about the referral business aspect of Metal Stacks, email me directly at Danielle@freedomstate.us for more information.
Yeah. Speaking, General, of justice and prosecuting criminals, what are your thoughts specifically on the Matt Gaetz appointment to Attorney General and other cabinet recommendations?
Yeah, I think Matt Gaetz is great. I love Matt's talk about salty. Well, Matt is a tough, and very smart. A lot of people, they just hear a soundbite of Matt Gaetz, but Matt Gaetz is really a brilliant lawyer and very, very smart guy. So, and he understands the system. He understands the Justice Department. So Matt Gaetz he'll be a great Attorney General. I think he definitely needs some good partners. All this noise that you've heard about, all these prosecutors that are going to leave the Department of Justice, good riddance.
Yeah.
Amen.
Don't let the door hit you in the rear end on the way out, right?
Isn't that our objective?
And go try to find a job. Most of them are going to go look for jobs in the K Street, the lobbies, or the various law firms that are there. But most of these people, they ought to never be allowed back in government because they have violated so much of their oath of office against the American people. So I think he's going to be great. I haven't seen today, I haven't been on Truth where I kind of wait until Trump actually says something versus somebody else saying, hey, we heard so-and-so is going to be this job or that job. So I wait for Trump to post those. But I've been back and forth with Tulsi. She's great. She's going to be wonderful.
They're scared of her too, so that's a great sign.
Yeah, they're going after all of them. The strategy, if it's not obvious to you, the strategy by Trump is really to pick a bench that has a future as well as a current ability to operate. So, the average age is around 43 years old. And so, you know what? I like that. I like that kind of youthful energy. I like people who have been in the mix a bit. I like the idea of what Pete Hegseth, where he's been. And again, all of it will be seen in the actions that they take versus the words that they have said, right? A lot of them have said a lot. So now you get into execution. Execution is much more difficult. than just talking about it. You know, you got to take your, the president's agenda, and you have to make it work, right? You got to execute. And these are large organizations. They're going to be tough to execute, but these people are very competent, very smart, and they have the president's backing. So, I'm pretty excited about his strategy, because I think what it does is it sets up the future of this party that he has basically taken over, right? I mean, it's really not the Republican Party and the Democrat Party anymore. It's more of a conservative, liberty-minded, patriotic movement in this country. And I include libertarians in that. I include a lot of independents in that, because that was what the mandate showed us, that there's still millions and millions of people in this country that don't like an overreaching federal government. And a lot of them were independents, and a lot of them were like left of the center line, right? Like libertarians, so to speak, versus no longer the Democrat Party. Like I said, it's versus really a socialist communist element that has risen in our country. And they'll probably continue to call themselves the Democrat Party, but it really isn't. It really isn't. I mean, I was part of the Democrat Party till only a few years ago, sort of the Kennedy Democrat version. But the Democrat Party is really gone. It is now a Communist Party of America, which does exist, by the way, folks. And another component of that is the Democratic Socialist Party of America. That's another element that also exists. So those are the two sides of the fence right now. And our side is very clear, because of the last presidential election, how big we are, how much momentum we have right now. And we got to keep that momentum by executing. So what Donald Trump wants to do as president, we have to help him to execute that agenda so we can thrive as a nation. We can live safely and securely. We don't have all these crazy illegals in our country that are raping, pillaging, maiming, and killing Americans, right? I mean, we can't have this.
Yeah.
Can't have this craziness. So I'm hopeful for the people that he's picking. I will help them be successful, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
And
I take it it's not a surprise to you at all. To me, whenever I see the McCabes and the John Boltons and others viciously criticizing these cabinet picks, to me, that's further confirmation that the picks are good picks. Just my view.
Well, you listen to them. I don't even listen to them anymore, because as soon as they open their mouth,
you're smart.
whatever
You're
they
smart,
say.
General.
So if you said Bolton said something, I would say just the opposite. If you said that
Exactly.
Annie McCabe said something, I would say just the opposite. Whatever they say, and that includes any of them on the mainstream media, whatever they say, it's they are projecting what they are, who they are.
Yeah.
What we have to do is we have to believe, use good God-given common sense, and believe in what it is that we just accomplished. And it was really 4 years of really hard work. I can tell you, because, for me, it was 4 years of persecution for the most part. And then once I saw the writing on the wall in the 2020 election, and we saw this theft of our country, we saw the steal of our elections, I wasn't going to stand by idly and just go and play golf. I made a decision that I was going to consciously get involved, and then start to get people to, and basically to reawaken. That's why we started the Reawaken America tour. And we started that, a year and a half before Trump even announced his presidency for 2024, because I knew then that if we didn't get this thing moving, people would have just gone off into their own little corners and felt hopeless and not done anything. And frankly, the Reawaken tour, particularly in the beginning, but all throughout, was very, very successful. We ended up going to 24 different cities all across the country. We really, really pushed on the pastoral and the ministerial communities, right? The churches and the leaders in the churches, and those that were good leaders, we went after the people that were not so good, right? And we tried to encourage them to step their games up, because the congregations of America really were looking for something. They were looking for hope. They were looking for, what's next? How do we get involved? And I use the phrase local action has a national impact. I've been talking about that forever. And it's such an important phrase because it has a lot of meaning in it, right? Local action equals a national impact. Get involved in your communities. Time to stand up, step up, speak up, do the things that you have been sitting around wondering why do we have all these problems? Instead of letting somebody else solve it, we need to start solving these problems in our own communities. We can't worry about what is going on in Washington, D.C. if we aren't participating in what's going on in hometown America. And that's so important.
And General, your work has illuminated that for so many of us because, even as I lived in Washington for 14 years, even as someone in Washington, I kind of thought that the swamp in some ways was really at the highest level. And then I got, the SES, that level of entrenched bureaucrat was pretty horrible. I knew that, but I didn't have any idea that corruption came all the way down to our parish level, to our local community level. There's so much draining of the swamp that needs to happen. And the part that we can impact is definitely in our own communities. Do you see at the national level, do you think DOGE and the new Congress will be able to truly stop this kind of revolving door of lobbyist, CNN commentator, cabinet pick type of rotation where these people have constant voices, constant access, and are continually able to poison the country in a different way?
Yeah, I think it remains to be seen what exactly Elon and Vivek running the Department of Government Efficiency, and I'm not really certain that it's a department. I don't call it. I know DOGE. I got that, and it's kind of a cool acronym that's caught on, but we don't want another department in the government that's already bloated. Okay, so we don't. What we want is a group of people. They can call themselves a task force, maybe a commission, whatever. And if Elon wants to call himself a department, that's fine. But we don't need another department. What we need is a gutting of the rot that exists inside of the United States government and cleaning it out. And I mean cleaning it out. And if that means that Elon and Vivek and whoever they bring in and looking at it and looking at the personnel issues, the funding issues, the structural, there's regulatory, all of it, and just clean it up, right? Get rid of any regulation that hinders somebody down below the federal government, which is damn near all of them. So we have to really look at that. Same with Bobby Kennedy. Bobby Kennedy's going to go in there as the Secretary of Homeland Health and Human Services. And most people don't know, but that department gets a bigger budget than the Department of Defense. Actually, the budget of Health and Human Services is almost twice the size. I think it is actually twice the size than the Department of Defense. So he's got some other, he has some things that he must do too on the healthcare side to make us a more of a healthy society, right? And to get our culture to change. But the same way with Elon and Vivek. I think what they're going to have to do is they're going to have to really take a big buzzsaw to a lot of the stuff that's going on in the government right now that is pure waste, pure fraud, and abuse. And where there's fraud and abuse, those people need to be held accountable. And that is not that hard to find out. It's not that hard to do. But when we continue to fail audits, like we just heard the other day, we continue to fail these audits. You look at these people and you go, what is it that you guys are missing? We can't fail an audit in the government because if you guys failed an audit, the IRS, would be all over you and you'd be, you'd be civilly or criminally tried. So
absolutely.
So we can't
fail an audit, General Flynn. They fail an audit, and of course they get promoted.
Exactly, and that's the incentive system. And I'll because I know we're going to run out of time. But the incentive system, what incentivizes people in government is failure. Okay, they fail, they get promoted. They fail, they get promoted. They fail, they get more money in their budget. If you don't meet your budget, if you don't, you get a certain amount of money, and let's say you're for 4 quarters of a year, and you spend it by the end of the 3rd quarter, and you're out of money, right? Well, instead of being fired for over expending things, what happens is you get more money. They give you more money for failure. And like in the Department of Justice, you are incentivized for convictions. You're not incentivized to discover the truth. And I think that this is an attitude and a cultural shift that Trump is going to have to bring in. He was not able to do it in the first 4 years, even though he did an extraordinary amount for this country, in some cases historic. But I think this time around, he's going to have to really, really put the sort of the old, pedal to the metal, and he's going to have to make some major decisions and some major reforms and changes here. And he's going to have to do it in probably the first couple of months, if not the first couple of weeks.
Yeah, I agree. Well, General, I know we're butting up against time here. We want to be respectful of your time. Thank you so much for coming on.
Guys,
Thank you. Thank you for coming on. We love you. God
Have a
bless
great
you.
day.
Pray, keep praying.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
We will be praying.
We are so honored to be affiliate partners for General Michael Flynn's movie, Flynn, Deliver the Truth, Whatever the Cost. Support General Flynn and the State of Freedom by shopping the Flynn movie store directly from the button on our homepage at freedomstate.us or through our affiliate link, flynnmovie.com/TSOF podcast. On that site, you can purchase the DVD, which comes with a streaming link. You can pick up Flynn movie merchandise and get his complete 5GW book series. Thanks for joining us today on the State of Freedom. Be sure and check out the show notes for this episode. You can always go there and find the calls to action and resources mentioned in the show, and you can find out more information about our advertisers there as well. If you want to learn more about us or support our work, visit freedomstate.us. To get involved with Louisiana Citizen Advocacy Group, visit LACAG.org. We'll see you next time. God bless.